Sunday morning. Got a bunch of teenagers here. And we have to transport them to help them get home at 1 o'clock, so that kind of screws my plans for wanting to take Sarah and the dogs out to a little bit of adventure today. So, we'll see what's going to happen today now. I got lots to do. Did a bunch of fencing yesterday to help keep the crazy dogs contained. Got a lot of voices to hear. Quick note out to my brothers in forest in Alberta, you forest techs. I'm sure you're still listening. I gotta get an email to you guys. You told me you're gonna be in May, and I checked the fire map, and it looks like you guys might be burnt out of the forest. Maybe. If you're sitting there doing nothing, email me. Let me know what's up. I'll email you later on today, alright? About me coming out there, but it looks like it's kind of hot. I'm guessing you might not be in the woods. What else? There's a few places online that you can actually check out the traffic on YouTube channels. Not all of them are deadly accurate, but they're pretty accurate. Some items they're not accurate with at all. Some items I believe they're really accurate when you compare them to your own personal YouTube account. If you're curious, you want to look into those things. Sometimes I do, and we were talking about it last evening, so I had a look. And what I did was I checked out the traffic on various channels that may be considered popular channels on YouTube when it comes to this topic specifically. And just to let all of you know that currently today, all of you are listened to the most in the world online when it comes to this topic right here. How crazy is that? You guys are the most listened to group in the world when it comes to this topic. And it is by about, I don't know, there's a channel with over 407,000 subscribers. But it's the subscriber numbers don't mean anything, it's the views, right? And we are roughly 300% viewed. You guys are viewed over 300% more than that channel. And all the other, what you may call popular channels, you guys are listened to an average 3 to upwards of 600% more than any of the other channels in the world when it comes to this topic. There you go. The proof's in the pudding. That is proof not for just this topic, but that is proof for what happens when you make it about the people and not yourself. Right? This is what happens. You become the most powerful force in the world when it comes to numerous topics if you make it truly about the people. It's proven. Right? When you make it about the people, it's the absolute power. When you take the power from the people, you become absolutely powerful. It's too bad how come we're not taught that when your kids at school? How come they don't teach us that? I wonder why. They never taught me that when I was in school. All they said was, memorize this, you get a test on Friday. If you don't repeat what I showed you to memorize, you're going to fail. Red flag. Anyway, I thought I'd pass that on to all of you because this is your channel. And this is about all of you, and you did it. You are the number one by far, by at least 300% to 500-600% listened to more than any other place in the world online today when it comes to this topic. There you go. Good work on all of you. Now, this phone took me over the edge this morning. So what I normally do is I take my first coffee, wake up, have coffee with Sarah, and we'll go through our emails, etc. And this phone shut off every time I tried to copy and save an email. I'd hit the button, and it would shut down. And I have to wait for it to fire up, sign into my email again. About 8 times. It's about all I can handle. I'm stubborn, but what am I getting? What is $1,000 frickin' for one of these damn things? Anyway, today's the day I'm gonna have to give in and go get another phone. Enough of this shit, right? Very aggravating, but doesn't stop us outright. Now, no more babbling. Let's get it going here. Who knows what's going to come out of the forest while we're reading today. Oops, mark this as red. The most watched place in the whole world. You guys. Orbs in the Adirondack Mountains. I do believe that they use infrasound, and that may have been what I experienced when leaving the mountain. Hi Steve, please do not share my last name. I won't, but don't leave it. For all you guys, listen. I've been watching your YouTube channel for years now. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your channel. At times I've struggled with the things that I've seen and sensed and wanted to share with someone, but did not have the safe place to do that without being called nuts or crazy. My sister even said to me that she used to think I was crazy when I would tell her things, but now she believes. She has experienced the unexplainable as well. I've always been extremely sensitive, and as I've gotten older, I've learned to take those experiences in and keep them inside. I received my Reiki certification, Reiki certification several years ago, and that has opened me up to more experiences and the understanding that we cannot always see/sense what is around us with the naked eye, but to trust many senses and awareness. All that is taught to us about the nature of reality is not accurate. I've gone down the rabbit hole searching for answers/information around things that I've experienced to see if others have experienced similar events as well. But there are very few places I've found that you can share these things. I'm very much an introvert and find that I've always had a connection to animals and nature. It's very grounding for me personally, especially when you try to block out being overstimulated by people, news, which I watch very little of now, sounds, etc. I like to share a couple of experiences. I've seen many things, including unidentified flying objects in the sky. As many of your viewers are aware now, they do have the capacity to cloak themselves or hide in the clouds silently. As of the last several years, as technology improves and people have constant access to cameras/phones, more and more has come to light, and we will all continue to be able to document and share those experiences. In 2014-15, I lived in Lake Ridge, Virginia, about a mile or less from the Occoquan River, Occoquan River. I lived in a row of townhomes that backed to a greenway for the power lines. I lived in a sort of a cul-de-sac. There was nothing at the end of the cul-de-sac except for a steep hill and a low, large bush, some trees, and open hilly area. Behind my hometown was a slight hill that rose up about 20 to 30 feet, and on top of the ridge of this hill were very tall trees, possibly 50 to 75 feet tall, and a fairly narrow wooded area that you could walk through to get to the greenway area. The area back there was lush, and there were always tons of deer there. After coming home from a long day of work, I would sit outside of my back stoop and decompress. I loved the trees and the wind and the fact that there was no foot traffic behind us, so it felt secluded. I've always been very aware, and one day I sat there enjoying the breeze and looking at the tall trees. I noticed movement slightly to my right in the tree line. I saw a very tall being standing in front of the trees. But the thing about this being was it was cloaked. It looked like the cloaked being in the movie The Predator. I described it as the pixelation was abnormal. I stared at it and believed that it saw me as it froze for several minutes before it disappeared into the tree line. I was never afraid and never shared it with anyone because honestly, who would believe me? I've had many experiences since then, and although I've written them down in journals, I've never shared them with anyone. This is why I love to watch your channel to see if anyone else has had experiences like mine. No doubt, you imagine how many people are doing that today around the world? I saw a list, side note, sorry, but I saw a list on my account. You can see where people are watching from. And I think one day I'll share the list. The number of countries watching this channel is ridiculous. I could not believe some of the countries is incredible. How many countries are listening? Probably for the same reason. Sorry for the interruption. One of your viewers recently mentioned that the Sabe can see through the eyes of ravens. I believe this could be true. I was in the Shenandoah National Park on a hike off of Skyline Drive. My husband and I went for a short hike with our dogs, and as we were there, I spoke telepathically to the Ancient Ones and showed gratitude for allowing me to share their home. Within minutes, a raven flew overhead and cawed loudly a few times before circling and leaving. Coincidence? Possibly. When hiking at another park, please do not share the name of this park as it's in the suburbs, and I'd like to respect their home. I did the same there, stating my intentions and expressing gratitude. This time I experienced what felt like bubbles or popping sounds inside my head that lasted for a few minutes and then stopped. My husband goes on runs here at this park, and one day he went very early as he was training for a marathon and was able to record a very unusual sound, which almost sounded like a bunch of wild dogs all barking at the same time. I'll share this audio with you. I've seen unusual structures at this park as well. My most recent experience was in the Adirondacks. I went for a 2-day camping/hiking trip with my husband. As I'm a novice hiker, I was concerned about bear activity and our safety, so I did the same, speaking to the Ancient Ones, stating my intentions and sharing gratitude for allowing me to share the beautiful forest. There were very few hikers/campers out due to the weather being treacherous at higher elevations. We saw a total of 4 people on the trails. I never saw anything while we were there. However, after going back and looking at the pictures, I noticed a few pictures that I found very interesting. It looks like there are several orbs in this picture. Please take a look and zoom into the sky, and you can see several of them in the sky which almost look like bubbles. I'm attaching a picture for you to take a look at. I hear you mention that people see orbs. I better not get out of my tent, but one time at night, it was windy and cold, so I quickly got back and didn't look around in the dark. I didn't want my imagination to run away from me. The one thing that I did experience on the way out, as we were wrapping up our hike that day, was a strange pressure in my head that came over me. That made me dizzy, made me feel ill. It was very short-lived, and just prior to that happening in my head, I again said, "Thank you for allowing us to share your home and for keeping us safe." I do believe they can read your thoughts and your intentions. Thank you again, Steve, for doing what you do. Sharing these stories allows us all to have a broader awareness of what is going on around us. I'll continue to enjoy nature and go on long hikes in the forest, and will document and share up any other occurrences that happen. Note, I'll try to blow this picture up and send it in another format. Sending you, Sarah, the girls, and the animals. Many blessings. Kindly, Rachel. All right. Appreciate you. There's one photo here now. We'll go to the top. It usually says if I got something else. Okay, there's something else attached here. And again, I'm going to have to go into my inbox on the laptop, find her email, and I can see the date that it was saved. Okay, so that helps me. And then I will get everything here and I'll load it on the video. But I can't listen to it right now, okay? Thanks again, Rachel, for that. And make sure you send us more information when you come across it, if it'll help somebody. All right? Please. What else do we got? It's kind of funny when I mentioned earlier about how popular all of you have become here. It makes me think of the people that I've come across in my past, online and other places, that did everything they could to make me shut up. And look what it got them. I sheath my sword. Anyway, hi Steve, I've included a photo of a young sapling. It's a young ironbark, an Australian hardwood, very hard timber. This little tree would have been 2 or 3 inches thick. It was twisted and bent over at about waist high. I don't care how big of a man you are. There is no way anyone would twist that tree like that. No bark damaged above or below the twist, and the leaves were still attached. Very bloody strange. I was out there a few weeks ago chasing a red deer, and I came across 4 or 5 young saplings around 6 inches thick, snapped off around waist high, and all facing the same way. Sorry, cat just went ripping across in front of me there. No wildlife. I thought that was bloody strange. I had a good look at them. No grubs or termite damage. All in good condition. If the cattle had done it, they wouldn't all be snapped at the same level. This is the same paddock that we saw something run into that shocked us. We were in my car just a few hundred meters from the property gate when I noticed out of the corner of my eye a dark shape running through the long grass straight towards us. I said to my mate, "Watch this, there's a big porky pig about to run across the road in front of us." No sooner had I said that, out it came, probably 30 meters from my car. Well, I couldn't believe what I was looking at. It didn't last long, only a couple seconds, as the gravel road is only about 4 meters wide. But it burst across the road, and I anchored the brakes on and said, "What the F was that?" And I just said to my mate before I said anything, to tell me what that looked like to you. He looked shocked, white as a ghost. He said, "That looked exactly like a bloody werewolf." I said, "Absolutely exactly what I saw. It was shaggy looking, brown or black dirty, and I said absolutely exactly what I saw. It was shaggy looking, brown or black dirty, and had a bloody bad attitude. It was pissed off." Okay, there's missing punctuation, big time. "It was pissed off. It busted through the barbed wire fence on the other side of the road." I'd stopped. I said, "Here, grab the flashlight and go have a look." You grab the flashlight, you go have a look, right? He said, "Screw that, I'm not going anywhere near that thing." I'd say if it stood up, it would have been as tall as a man. It just ran across the road on all fours, faced like a wolf. Put the wind clean up us for a few minutes. If I ever see it again, I'll probably get a 300 Ultra mag in the head. I don't need shit like that hanging around out there. Holy, you got a 300 Ultra down there? I got one of those. That's in frickin' Canada for Australia, but I guess you guys got water buffalo and stuff, right? Okay, so the branch that is twisted. Interesting. I'm not familiar with iron. I am familiar with an ironwood variation myself that I came across in West Virginia. And I was doing all I could to swing that splitting maul into the wood, and it just bounced off. And for me, being from the West Coast here, I could not believe my eyeballs. I was swinging that sucker like a madman, and I was barely even putting a mark on that round of firewood from the ironwood. It was amazingly strong. I couldn't believe it for being someone who has never been around it. So, but it's too bad you couldn't put your wrist or your arm or your leg beside that twisted branch, right? Possibly for your fellow Aussies who are familiar with that wood too. But I believe you. And then the werewolf description. So it had a wolf's face and ran on all fours. That's a wolf description to me. So what part of that sighting would you consider to be a man-like werewolf features? Did it have hands, human feet or something? What part of it made you think it was not a wolf or an abnormal canine, right? But obviously there's more to it because it scared the living shit out of you guys, and you guys know what you saw. So, there you go. More from Australia, and a description that we've all heard numerous times. For the most part, right? We just didn't get the human-like body with it, accompanying this description. Thanks for sending that in, man. Appreciate you. Alright, what's this one? Mark, this is red. I can't wait to get rid of this little bastard phone. Can't wait. I want to smash it with a hammer. Maybe throw it in the air and hit it with a shotgun. This is titled A Small Scare. Steve, hello from... Now I know this might bug you guys, but I've always just said for fun, Tucson, Arizona. I know it's Tucson. I just like saying Tucson. Tucson, Arizona. I'm a daily watcher / listener for the past 3 years and find all you do to be absolutely invaluable and inspiring. We need thousands more like you in the spiritual battle. My wife and I, as former teachers, spend many summers driving and camping / exploring the West, all the way up to BC. Our only experience happened in the East Table Creek campground of south of Jackson, Wyoming. As we were preparing dinner in the fading daylight, we heard an unearthly roar / growl that just filled the air, coming from no particular direction, just there. We both jumped up onto a picnic table. Not that it would do any good against anything. It was far too loud to be a bear, so we will never know. Small story, but I thought I'd share. Also, a picture of a moose I did for my wife after a fishing trip to Alaska failed to capture a real one on camera. Whoops, what did I do? Be well, sir. And you be well, too. And that's actually a great picture. That would have been a great moose. With the proportions, though, and me being a guide and having guided I don't know how many moose, that would probably have been about a 90-inch wide moose. It's a great drawing, though. Thanks for sending that in, man. And the good thing is that you've added to the pattern that you have possibly taken note of here too, right? How many people have described the exact same sound that you heard? A lot. A lot. Now, red. Trying to get everything on this phone red. This one's titled, I Never Cared. Yeah, it's like probably 100% of us too until it happened, if that's what you're about to talk to. Good day to you, sir. My name is, John Baird from the great state of Texas, and I do not give a damn what the evil pricks think. Their day is coming. I've listened to you for quite some time. Outstanding content. We the people of North America need to set the standard for the world. The email I'm sending you was sent to me by a fellow patriot. Please read. It sums up pertaining to the current problems of our countries. Best regards, Semper Fi. John Baird. I wonder if this is going to be safe to read here on Google, where they don't want us to talk about. All right, I'm going to read this. You went out of your way to write this and send it to us. I'm going to read it. See what happens with Google. Good day to you, sir. My name is John Baird from the great state of Texas. Oh, sorry, I read that. I believe more and more people are starting to feel the way I do. I never cared if you were gay or whatever acronym you choose to call yourself until you started wanting special privileges. I never cared what color your skin was until you started blaming me for your problems. I never cared about your political affiliation until you started to condemn me for mine. I never cared where you were from in this great republic until you began condemning people based on where they were born and the history that makes them who they are. I've never cared if you are well off or poor because I've been both. Until you started calling me names for working hard to make a better life for myself. I never cared if your beliefs are different than mine until you said my beliefs are wrong. I never cared if you didn't like guns until you tried to take my guns away. Now I care. I've given all the tolerance I have to give. This is no longer my problem, it's your problem. You can still fix it, it's not too late, but it needs to be soon. I'm a very patient person, but I'm running out of patience. There are literally tens of millions of people just like me that are sick of all the anti-American crap. I've always cared about life and all lives, and now you try to force the notion on me and other fellow citizens and patriots that certain lives matter more than others. You protest, riot, attack, burn, and loot. Your so-called movement has become a radical, out-of-control bunch of thugs, criminals, and anarchists who are intent on destroying our country. The masses have had enough. America is the greatest country on earth, and if you don't like America, then we invite you to leave. We're done caring about your misguided feelings. You don't have the right to enjoy American freedoms, as if you are trying to take that right away from me and or other Americans. Please pass it on if you care. I care. Passed on, my friend. Passed on. And I care too. Now, back to more experiences. And there's a lot of people out there to care. I know there is. Oh, hold on. This is from somebody else. This is as a personal message from Melba Ketchum to me. I just about read out loud. Excuse me. Okay, what else do we got here? Getting down to the bottom where there's a lot of emails that aren't about this topic. All right, this next one is titled Pennsylvania Rock Throwers. You can use my name. Good evening, Steve. My name's Dan Brown, 30 years old, and I am from South Central PA. After hearing John Bender from Duncannon prompted me to share my two encounters. So to start, I grew up running all in the creek/woods and never stopped. I'm an avid outdoorsman. My father taught me to fish and hunt at a young age. And the two are my only hobbies. So the first one. It was October 25th, 2015, and three buddies of mine and myself hit up a creek to do some catfishing. Late in season, didn't expect to catch anything, just wanted to get out. We arrived at the creek at 9ish at night. The creek is located in South Central PA. We pulled into the parking area and followed the creek maybe 75 yards and set up shop. After 30 or 40 minutes of fishing and bullshitting, a large rock landed in the area we were casting on the opposite side of the bank. The width of the creek is about 25 feet, and on the opposite side of the bank is very steep, and goes up about 50 yards to a road. We chalked it up as maybe a rock roll down the hill. About 5 minutes later, another rock of the same size smacks the water again, this time a few feet closer to us. All kind of on edge, yet we kind of shrug it off again, shining our lights up the opposite hill and not seeing anything, so we get back to fishing. All quiet, thinking about what's happening. About 5 minutes later, another big rock lands right in the middle of the creek in front of us. At this point, we're spooked and getting loud/defensive, yelling out, "Who the F is out there? Stop effing with us. There's four of us, and we'll F you up, MFer. Excuse my French, haha." At this point, we're freaking out, wondering who or what it is throwing these big ass rocks at us. And then a few minutes go by and another one slams the water, and it's only 5 to 7 feet directly in front of us. We start hollering "F you," and we're leaving. Pack our shit up and we rolled out. The part that freaked us out the most was it being dead quiet out. The woods, as well as the sheer size of the rocks hitting the water. There would be some sort of noise made by a person when throwing these 20 to 25 pound rocks. Ruffling the leaves, a grunt to hurl the thing, something. It was so quiet, it was almost like the rocks fell from the sky. The creepy thing was the rocks were thrown in the direct area where we were casting. To note, the only parking area was a dirt pull-off and could hold only a couple cars. We were the only people parked, and there aren't any houses within a square mile or two of this creek. The road we came in on is the only road. When we rolled out, I drove across the bridge and up the road behind the opposite bank's steep hill to see if there was any cars parked or if I could catch a glimpse of anyone that was throwing these rocks, and there were 0 cars pulled off on the side of the road, and I didn't see anyone or anything. We're the only ones out there. This was the point where I started doing research, trying to wrap my head around what the hell happened. I'm an open-minded person and wouldn't rule anything out without doing my own research. I don't blindly follow. I found some channels on YouTube and I drifted towards it possibly being a Sasquatch because there were no other rational explanations of what happened. After watching some of the channels, hearing people's similar stories solidified it for me. A few years go by and stumbled on your channel maybe in 2018 or 19, not sure, but I've been here since. Second instance was this same time of year in late October, give or take a day or two, in 2019. My best friend Jack and I, he was there at the first encounter in 2015. We're hitting some late season trout in a northern Baltimore County stream, 5 minutes from PA line. Planned on meeting there after work. I got off earlier than him, so I got to the stream, geared up, and walked upstream and planned on hitting a few decent holes while I waited for Jack to get there so we could go hit the main spot downstream. As I'm walking up, it's dead quiet. Nobody's there except me, and this location isn't directly near any houses. One road in, and it's a steep incline, a mile down to the parking area from any homes. I walk up to the first hole I wanted to hit. I tie up and start fishing. It was very quiet, and after 10 to 15 minutes, I feel like I'm being watched. I looked around, I can't see anything or anybody. I hear a stick break behind me up on top this rock face, and I turn to see nothing, no animals or anything. I gave Jack a call to see where he was, and he was about 5 minutes away. With the dead quiet, the feeling of being watched, the stick break, I'm on edge, and I've already caught a few out of the hole, so I start my way back down to the parking area to meet him. It was about 4:30 at this point, and only had an hour and change before the sun goes down. So he gears up, and we go downstream to our spot. It's only about 50 yards from where we park. We start fishing, and are tearing trout up. Caught some very nice brownies, brown trout. He caught one, and it had eggs coming out of it when he was removing the hook, which was awesome. The first time we both saw that from a trout. We're avid fishermen. Been best friends our whole lives growing up in the woods and creeks. Anywho, it's almost last light, and the bite was so hot we decided to stay another 20 or 30 and then head out. About 15 minutes go by, and it's dark at this point. We were about 10 feet apart, and I just finished lacing up a fresh worm about to cast. And out of nowhere, a big-ass rock lands exactly where we've been casting. Same scenario as the first instance. No sound made when the rock was thrown. My heart just sinks into my stomach. And I go, Jack, was that effing you, dude? He says, F no, bro, let's get the F out of here. And I say out loud, all right. F, we're leaving MF don't to the rock thrower. We're straight scrambling, grabbing all our shit, and we book it to the car. I trip over a dead limb/tree in the path, and I'm freaking out like, Jack, effing wait! He stops. I get up and we continue hauling ass to our cars. We drove so fast up that hill, it was legit dangerous, but we didn't care. I called him when we got service to talk about what the F it happened again to us, man. Once we calmed down, he told me that the entire time we were running back on the path, he could hear small rocks hitting our side of the bank. I say smaller because they weren't the 15-pound rock that was initially thrown where we were casting. The smaller ones were still 1 to 2 pounds. I couldn't hear them. He was on the side of the path closest to the bank, and after eating shit on the fallen dead limb/tree, there's no way I would have heard. I did get a whiff of a rotten, nasty-ass smell on the path from that spot to our cars that wasn't there when we walked in. There you go. Did you say to use your name? Oh, yeah, you did. Dan Brown. Okay, man. Thanks, Dan. That's terrifying, right? That was a terrifying experience, and it is a strong pattern that you can't deny. And it keeps happening. Why is that? Why does it keep happening? Why do they keep doing that? People go, well, you're scaring the fish, you're taking their food source. No, you're not. Sorry. It's not about the fish. Not a chance. Anyway, moving along. You know what, man? If you get back to you, if you go around that place or around, obviously if you've been to the outdoors that long in that area, you're going to know more people that have been out in the outdoors for a long time around there, right? Just try it sometime. Square up with them, look them straight in the eye, don't smirk or laugh in any way. And say, you ever heard anything really weird while fishing around there or hiking or hunting or anything? Ever seen or heard something that just kind of scared the shit out of you, maybe, possibly? And then wait for the reaction. If they look at you and say, nope, drop it. Right? But if they have seen or experienced something similar, they're going to know that you know when they're going to spill. As long as you look them square in the eye and talk dead, matter of fact, serious, and don't put any humor in that at all. Be confident and honest, right? Confident and honest. It's the key. Who's next? Where are we? Strange encounter in the forest in February of '86. I traveled from Saginaw to Ravenna, Michigan. Ravenna? Probably Ravenna, Michigan, to visit a girl named Patty. I recently met while working on Mackinac Island for the season. Patty's family was large, about a total of 11 siblings. Never read this. Sorry. Read it. I don't know why it's not marked as read. Probably because it won't let me. Oh, there we go. Maybe. What the hell's going on here? Alright. This one's been here for a while, and I don't know where part 1 is. I'll Google it up after. I'm reading this right now. My experience with the Sasquatch, part 2. So, we woke up after all that. It's probably 6 a.m. I have to go look for signs of what this was. Gonna look for footprints, I guess. Walked down to the lakeside and there was nothing. I head up to the road and I know it's still fresh dirt. I know that this thing had to cross that road. And if there's going to be tracks, for sure it will be there. Sure enough, there they were. 2 footprints. The first step was 4 feet from the edge. And the second was closer to 8 feet maybe. It took 2 steps and crossed a 12-foot wide road. I did have a camera, a disposable camera, like the old cardboard box ones. I took 2 pictures of the footprints, one of each track. So here's the point to my story. I went to work an hour later. My foreman was a great guy. We were good friends and I trusted Earl completely. So I couldn't wait to tell him about my night. I told Earl every detail, just like now. When I finished, he just sat there shaking his head. I'm thinking he's amazed or speechless. But instead, he asked me, did I get high again or was I drinking? I thought, well, I did in fact mention that I'd seen the tracks and had pictures of both, so why aren't you compelled to at least give me the benefit of the doubt? We rode over to where the prints were, but too late. The heavy equipment had rolled out and the tracks had been wiped off, run over. So, no problem, I still had my photos. After work the same day, I took my camera to the Eckerd's Pharmacy there in Mooresville and dropped it off for a processing or a development. Remember, this was in 1997. It would be at least 3 to 5 days before I get my evidence back. The very next day at work, I was ordered to operate a track hoe and load dump-style trucks. I wasn't a great hoe operator and they knew that then. The company had a safety policy. It said, if 2 machines collide or have any contact while working, both operators would have to be drug tested immediately after. So I'm doing an okay job, being careful, etc. And when I wasn't looking, a driver backed into the bucket of my machine, making an accident. The next thing I know is I'm being sent to the lab for a drug screen. But strangely enough, not the guy who ran into my machine. I was pissed. I couldn't believe this. A buddy of a friend who I admired and looked to for support decided to set me up so he could catch me with a dirty drug screen and catch me in a lie maybe, all because he didn't take me seriously. I passed the test with flying colors and the next day they knew this, but it didn't matter one bit to them. I was still under suspicion. When the film came back, I thought, I'll show them now. I'd have my day. They'd have to at least recognize that I had this experience and I'd be vindicated. Nope. Earl showed his boss, and he even held the pictures for a couple of days. I hope you can show these photos. They are footprints. Obviously not a human or a bear or anything that could be that large in that area. It was all dismissed without any questions or concerns, just dropped it. I didn't tell my story again for a couple of years. I think I just needed to let it go, you know. That was some traumatic stuff and I was terrified, yes. But I think it was the timing. My life had been pretty traumatized already up until then. I've told this story maybe 6 times. I tell it like it was how it happened. Not once have I felt good about it afterwards. Years went by. Still I'd have flashbacks when I'd run across these pictures and I always thought the same thing. Wow. Was that dog scared to bark or what the hell happened that made Buck freak out like that? That part was the worst. It just made no sense to me. Well, finally it all turned around. I've been given a book. I don't read books, so it went on a shelf, then into a box. It was lost for years. I don't even know who gave it to me now. If you can say the name and author of the book, here it is, The Paranormal Conspiracy, The Truth About Ghosts, Aliens, and Mysterious Beings by Timothy Daly, PhD. Steve, I had this book for at least 10 years before I ever opened it. Reason being, I can't read books a second. I'm not a paranormal activity type of guy, but I wish I had been. That would have saved me a lot of grief. On page 45, second paragraph, it reads, quote, Stan Gordon reports that many Bigfoot sightings are accompanied by a phenomena traditionally associated with demonic activity, such as the stench of sulfur or rotten meat. Researchers also notice that domestic and farm animals react with inordinate fear during sightings. Check this out, man. Quote, it was very significant in dogs that were in close range to a Bigfoot. Even the most ferocious dogs wouldn't bark. became still or shaken and hid in their cages or under dwellings. In some cases, they wouldn't eat normally for days later. Holy guacamole, Steve, is that my story or frickin' what? When I read that by accident, my heart stopped for a second, tears came rolling out, and I just thought about old Buck and how he was the best damn dog, and how much I loved him, and how unreal this experience must have been for him. I felt vindicated finally. It all came together, and I also felt how lucky we both were that early morning by the lake. Steve, thanks again, brother. I hope this helps your cause. It's the only reason I'm writing this stuff. I have to say I'm still anxious, but not like I would be if you hadn't convinced me it's okay to tell the truth, even though I might have a post that isn't pretty. People can recover, and their story should be heard and count. I'll send these photos in part 3. If you ever need someone to carry or cook, hit me up. I'd love to see that neck of the woods, and you're welcome to come down here anytime. I got a backyard full of wildlife. I think you'd like my new best friend, Bub. Take care. P.S. Yes, please do use my name. Okay, stand by for photos in part 3. I'm going to have to search your name, man, because I've held on to this part 2 email for quite some time without reading it, and I'm not coming across part 1. Note, make sure to Google this app. Now, where you're working, excuse me, heavy equipment. Were you logging? Here's the question I got. Were you logging? Was it possibly new road being built through timber? Was it logging show? Because I do know of some logging contractors in the US where they have said flat out, if anybody speaks of, sees, or says anything about Bigfoot or Sasquatch, they're fired. Period. The reason being they don't want to be shut down. Right? Not that I don't think we've ever heard about a logging show being shut down because of Sasquatch sighting or evidence, except for the mention from our friend from here in BC who told us about sitting down in Mackenzie with his logger friends, and the one faller told him about dumping a huge first growth cedar, which would have been in the mountains between, I don't know, let's just say possibly between McBride and Clearwater, BC, somewhere in that chunk of land. Yeah, somewhere around there. And they found the skeletal remains of a giant inside the tree. And then all the conservation officers, and I believe the guys in the black SUVs came and shut them down, and they left that logging block, didn't cut it, and it got gated. That's the only time I heard about a logging operation possibly being shut down because of this shit. So I'm curious to know if that was logging that you're doing. I'm sure we're gonna find out, right? There's a part 1. We'll get it somehow. And if your buddy's watching this channel, you're a coward piece of shit. That's all we got to say about you. Note taken. Coward ass piece of crap. Sucks when you don't have, it just sucks to not have solid people around you. You know what I mean? It's nothing worse. I've experienced that probably too many times in my existence, and it gets a little tiresome. You kick under the curb. Alright. What do we got? That's not an email. Okay. This one's titled Pike County video. What is county? County, Colorado, CO, right? Pike County or Pike, Colorado. Steve, I know you won't share, nor would I ask you to share anyone's contact info, but re the Pike State Forest encounter you read, would you please be kind enough to reach out to the man that sent you that story and ask him if his encounter was near or on Dry Bone Road or Bell Hollow Road in Pike, CO. The reason I'm asking is because that's where my 3 encounters took place on our family property, on the Dry Bone Road in Pike County, which is landlocked between Mead Paper Land and Pike State Forest. Steve, I've sent you in the past a detailed description of my encounters and detailed description of the beast, which looks like a caveman, or pics of a caveman. Ice. Looked up. It's no stinking ape, that much I can promise you. I looked them in the eyes at less than 10 yards for over 3 minutes. And believe me, they are huge and furious beasts that are cunning and plan everything they do, unlike a wild animal or a natural predator that we've been familiar with. If that gentleman is interested in contacting me to compare encounters and descriptions, please share my contact info with him. His info will go no further because I'll never go looking for them. Had my fill of them while hunting. Okay, man, there you go. If the person who this story rings a bell with is listening, email me if you want to get in touch with this dude. Get a lot of people that want to get in touch with people that hear on here. I wonder how we could do that. I wonder how we could get everybody babbling in the same place, same time. That would be kind of confusing though, right? But it would help people get in contact with each other, that's for sure. Now, I think I have everything out of this phone, because I'm going to smash this son of a so today. Got it. Excuse me. No, here's a big long one. All right, let's just one more here. The real reason they don't want us to know or do anything, especially about the Sabe, is long. But I believe I may have some worthwhile and possibly considerable insights to share. Please do not post my email address. Gotcha. I don't think I've ever posted an email address, really. Hello, Mr. Steve Isdall. Firstly, I thank you and the great Creator God for you to have been chosen to follow the path you do with truth, honesty, integrity, fearlessness, and tons of enthusiasm. Appreciate the kind words. Secondly, I'm a firm believer that everything and all things are possible, but we have lost the abilities to access or understand it all, at least for now. Nevertheless, we all feel a change is coming, do we not? I stumbled upon your most deservedly topic-leading YouTube channel while surfing all things cryptid, alien, weird, misunderstood, etc., as I'm always seeking new, current, and lost knowledge with truth. I'm so glad I did find you an outlet and release for sharing my perspectives. Now, enough of the formalities. For years, through my own gut feelings, suspicions, beliefs, and research, and though as much varied media, books, internet articles, YouTube, and others as I could find, I've had the strong feeling that the reason we are where that we I have had the strong feeling that the reason we are where / how / why we are kept in the dark, dismissed as fanatics, institutionalized, ridiculed, and in many cases eliminated. I believe that humans possess similar or possibly better than the incredible powers of the Sabe, which are inherently present with the human DNA. Stay with me. Human control, power, money, greed, overtaxation, runaway inflation, overpriced big pharma, and medical procedures are rampant and out of control. These result in wars, conflicts, psychological issues, diseases, created, treated, very rarely cured, poverty, social unrest, racism, sexism, all kinds of perversion, with all their accompanying evils, which is the engine that the evil bastards Consortium require to keep this, and the many other abilities and knowledge from us. I truly believe that humans were designed and created in the image of our Creator God. As so much ancient wisdom has said, in the beginning, we were equipped with all of the powers that the Creator had, quote, in His image, end quote, and for millennia lived in complete harmony with the earth, animals, and humanity, with likely interaction with extraterrestrial life forms as well. Somewhere along our early path, an evil individual or group of individuals, human or otherwise, were influenced by the very same evil powers that exist over us today. These nefarious scumbags started us on a path away from our beliefs of love for the Creator, our humanity, our earth, and everything that exists. Evil began. Greed was seeded. Human control was a primary required objective of this most evil ancient group's plans for us. Money was invented, where sharing and barter and trade had existed beforehand. So-called leaders were planted / elected. Slavery and taxes were created to further grow this group's power and control. This evil was born and nurtured and thrives to this day. This evil infected and infects mainstream mafia styled, quote, do what I say, not what I do, end quote, religions, based on long ago heavily edited self-serving evil scriptures which are prevalent to this day in every country. Don't get me wrong, the great creator, God, is pure goodness and love, but religions are led and followed by sinners who follow perversions of God's ideals. His books have always been customized to this consortium's evil agenda. This very unnatural control over us infected our faith and beliefs through the millennia, causing the rather historically fast loss of our creator-given abilities. That vast knowledge and the loss of our reasoning for our love for all things. This first spark of evil likely was designed and generated by outside influencers, whether alien or demon or the Nephilim concept beings, or combinations thereof. But there very well may have been unknown other, long forgotten outside interventions as well. This lost innocence, knowledge, seemingly magical power, abilities, with the exceptions being those evident abilities, vision, communication, in the innocence of very young children, as well as shaman, mystics, clairvoyants, and many others, have been virtually squeezed away from us, all for many thousands of years, possibly much longer. Which leads to the most evil cluster efforts controlling us today. Those long-lost powers, I strongly believe, are still inherently and naturally within the Sabe. Abilities such as teleportation, invisibility, mind/emotion control, mind-speak communication, healing, alien contact, etc. are just some of the known abilities/powers the Sabe people have demonstrated countless times throughout the world, for who knows how long. Those same powers that we have lost are why those evil bastards are hiding everything from us, all at any and all cost. Their worst case scenario is that humanity regains those long lost powers and knowledge, taking back control of our society, resources, the earth, all with the respect and love for its creatures, as ecology and humanity, as it was designed to be. And, I hope and pray, those evil bastards, godless perpetrators, would then be controlled/culled by whatever means necessary. Programs such as yours, Steve, are opening up minds and spiritual doorways to the truth of who and what we really are. That is, divinely designed beings who have surely lost our path, but only for now. This is why I greatly respect yourself and what you do and your followers are doing. Please use my name, as I am dedicated to the truth, and while I truly care about everything bad going on, I'm too old, ornery, and most potentially treacherous to be afraid of anything or anyone. My best wishes to you, the good Sarah, your girls, most entertaining goats, your horses, the wonderful Ruby, the super ladies, and the whole Hat Hunt family. Peace and love for all, Rod in Western Canadistan. You're a Canadistanian, whatever we want to call ourselves these days. P.S. This took me about 5+ hours, including much editing with my size 13 hands on my little Samsung phone. I'll sleep good tonight. P.P.S. For those inevitable critics and haters, take it, leave it, or shove it. Okay, man. Your wheels are turning, you're aware, you're awake, and you think for yourself, and you're brave or free. Good one. Good for you. You gotta admit, man, it's not too far off, right? Think about it. Not too far off. It's crazy what's going on. Now, too many places are becoming soon. You're not going to be able to talk about whatever you want pretty soon in a lot of the Western countries. I know. I think Canada is about to ban Fox News from Canadian viewers. Apparently, that's one of the first steps in a bill they just passed to stop us from talking. There's also, I believe Sarah was saying, it's the first page in a passport. It says right there, I think it's our Constitution, whatever it is, the freedom to travel, freedom to roam, unmolested, unbothered from anybody. And the current government in Canada is looking to replace our passports and remove that page. What the F, right? There's all sorts of examples. There's another guy I just heard about who lives in the Ukraine, and he's been commenting on YouTube, keeping everybody up to speed with what's going on. And it wasn't in the favor of the Ukraine government, so they just went with guns to his home and they took him away, and now he's disappeared. He's just sitting in front of a camera just like I am, speaking the truth that he's witnessing, and they took him away, made him disappear. Blatant. Photos to prove it. It's creepy, right? There's some very bad people out there. The internet is a tricky place to navigate, is it not? There's not much on the internet that's truth or solid, worthy of time, but it's a very confusing shit show to navigate. Man, it's almost to the point now, should almost be, children should almost not be allowed to go on the internet until they're at least 21 years old. Possibly, you know what I mean, in some ways. Because of the nastiness that's being rammed down their throats. But then again, the internet also has a lot of good, honest people in there that are trying to rally up all the people to have a voice and be free and speak and point out what's going on and what's wrong. I'm babbling. More caffeine, maybe? Nothing wrong with caffeine. Anyway, something's got to happen. I do believe if some items out in the bigger picture that are going on that a lot of you might not be familiar with, if they're just allowed to play out, run the course, I don't think it's going to be too good for the majority of the population. I don't think it's going to be too good. And on that note, I was even saying to Sarah last night, I said, you know what? If the opportunity came, if some kind of opportunity came, I would take one for the team. She's like, what? No. And I go, yeah, I would. I would. If the opportunity came, I would take one for the team too. And I know many of you out there in the same mind frame. If you could take one for the team, and as long as that donation of your life counted, and it did make the difference, and it did make the difference to stop the evil that's going on in a heartbeat. Done deal. I'd do it. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic, isn't it? The sun's starting to come out. Looks like a beautiful day. I think today I'm going to take some time for me, and I'm going to pull up my bow, and I'm going to shoot some arrows. I'm going to hit my gym, and I'm going to get my inflatable boat ready, because I am going hunting very shortly. I'll be back with more voices and a new phone and no more of this frickin' grief. ShareMyStoryHowToHunt.com is where you get your truth too. Please share it. Don't sit on it any longer. All right? Who knows how long we're going to be able to be together and share a truth. So get it out. And Sarah's promo code is caps lock spring20. Spring, the number 20. And I think she said her 20% off of everything ends tonight at midnight or something. Shared. I'm out of here.